Life can change in an instant, and sometimes the most shattering moments are captured on film. Cameras meant to record joy or routine suddenly witness tragedy unfolding in real time. These haunting visuals freeze the exact second when fate takes its darkest turn. What follows are stories of horrible fates caught on camera, where reality becomes almost unbearable to watch. By the end of this video, you'll see how these shocking moments connect to the larger question of how fate can strike anywhere, anytime, and why each story reveals something deeper than it first appears. In June 2013, a night of breathtaking spectacle at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas turned into one of the most shocking accidents ever witnessed during a live performance. The stage was set for Ca, one of Cirque du Soleil's most ambitious productions, where towering platforms moved in midair and acrobats executed daring feats of strength and agility. The crowd had come expecting to see performers defy gravity. What they saw instead was a fall that no one could have imagined. Sarah Guio, a 31-year-old aerialist from Paris, had been part of Cirque du Soleil for years. Known by friends as Sassoon, she was an experienced performer who had trained for much of her life. On the night of June 29, 2013, she stepped into her harness and prepared for one of the most physically demanding battle scenes of the show. Suspended high above the stage, she was meant to appear locked in combat, moving in choreographed precision with her fellow acrobats. As the fight unfolded, Sarah was lifted into the air. The audience watched as the performers soared above the vertical stage, their movements carefully synchronized with music and lights. Then suddenly, something broke the rhythm. Sarah slipped from her safety system, and instead of gliding back into position, she plummeted. The fall was nearly 90 feet into a pit below the moving stage. For a brief moment, many in the audience believed it was part of the act. The illusion shattered as they heard her cry out. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and silence replaced the usual thunder of applause. Her descent was uncontrolled, fast, and horrifying to watch. Theatrical lighting made the moment even more surreal. What was designed to enhance the drama of a staged battle instead illuminated a real accident happening in front of thousands. Some spectators later recalled feeling frozen, unable to process whether what they had seen was scripted or real. Within seconds, the show was stopped. The house lights came up, and emergency responders rushed to the scene. Onlookers were ushered out, many still in shock, whispering to one another about what they had just witnessed. The air that had moments earlier been filled with excitement now carried only confusion and dread. Sarah was rushed to University Medical Center, but the impact had caused devastating injuries. The coroner later confirmed her cause of death as blunt force trauma from the fall. She was just 31 years old, leaving behind 2 young children. For those who were in the theater that night, the memory has never faded. They came expecting to see the beauty of human movement, but instead, they witnessed a devastating accident unfold in real time. Sarah's fall was the first fatal incident in Cirque du Soleil's history, and the image of that night remains etched into the minds of everyone who saw it. That night, the audience witnessed the unimaginable, a performer's final moments unfolding before their eyes. It served as a haunting reminder that even in places designed for wonder and joy, fate can strike without warning. Yet Sarah's tragedy was not the last time reality would pierce the world of performance. Years later, in a completely different setting, another shocking moment would be captured, not under stage lights, but on a Hollywood film set. In October 2021, the set of an independent Western film in New Mexico became the scene of an unthinkable accident that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. The production, titled Rust, was meant to capture the grit and danger of frontier life. Instead, it became defined by a real-life tragedy that claimed the life of cinematographer Helina Hutchins. Helina was 42 years old, born in Ukraine, and admired as a rising star in her field. Known for her artistry behind the camera, she had a reputation for turning stories into powerful visual experiences. To many colleagues, she was more than a professional. She was a collaborator who brought energy and vision to every project. On October 21, 2021, filming was underway at Bonanza Creek Ranch, just outside Santa Fe. It was a location often used for westerns, with rustic buildings, open plains, and dusty air that made the setting look timeless. That afternoon, the cast and crew prepared for a scene inside a small church set. Actor Alec Baldwin, who was also a producer on the film, was rehearsing with what was supposed to be a prop firearm. The revolver in Baldwin's hand had been declared a cold gun, meaning it should have contained no live ammunition. Crew members, trusting that declaration, continued their work as the rehearsal began. Helina stood behind the camera, focused on framing the scene. Director Jules Souza was close by, watching the setup. Then, in a split second, everything changed. As Baldwin practiced his draw, the gun discharged. A loud crack echoed through the wooden set, startling everyone inside. In the chaos, Helina collapsed, clutching her midsection. Souza staggered backward, injured by the same projectile. Confusion filled the room. Some thought it was a drill or stage defect, until they saw the blood. Emergency calls were made immediately, and medics rushed to treat the wounded. Helina was airlifted to the University of New Mexico Hospital in Albuquerque. Despite the urgent efforts to save her, she succumbed to her injuries. Souza survived but required treatment for his wounds. News of the incident spread rapidly, leaving the film industry in disbelief. A weapon intended only for pretend violence had delivered fatal consequences. Questions arose instantly. How did a real bullet end up in a firearm on set? Who had checked it? What had gone wrong in the chain of safety protocols? For those who had been there, the horror of watching a colleague fatally struck during a rehearsal was unforgettable. They had come together to create art, but instead witnessed devastation. Helina Hutchins was remembered as a visionary in her craft and a devoted wife and mother. Her life was cut short in a place meant for make-believe, where tragedy became real. The incident remains one of the most haunting accidents ever to occur on a film set, forever altering the way safety is viewed in the industry. If you're following these tragedies closely, hit the like button and subscribe to uncover the hidden truths behind each case. In the world of Formula One, speed and danger live side by side. Every driver who steps into the cockpit knows that a single mistake, or a twist of fate, can change everything in an instant. In October 2014, during the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, one young driver's life was cut short in one of the most devastating crashes the sport has ever seen. His name was Jules Bianke. Born in Nice, France, Jules was seen as one of the most promising talents of his generation. With smooth control, raw speed, and a reputation for fearlessness, he had earned a seat at Marussia, one of the smaller teams on the grid. Though his car could not match the pace of the frontrunners, his skill was undeniable. Many believed he was destined for a future with Ferrari, the team that had supported his rise. On October 5, 2014, the Suzuka circuit was shrouded in heavy rain as Typhoon Fanfone brushed Japan. Conditions were treacherous, with water pooling on the track and visibility dropping as the race wore on. Drivers struggled to keep control, sliding on the slick surface, but the competition continued. On lap 43, German driver Adrian Sutil lost control at Dunlop Curve, spinning into the barriers. Marshals moved quickly, and a large recovery vehicle, a tractor crane, was brought onto the runoff area to remove the stricken car. Yellow flags waved to signal caution, but the race was not stopped. Just one lap later, disaster struck. Jules Bianke approached the same corner, his car aquaplaning at high speed. With little grip and no chance to recover, his Marussia slid off the circuit. Instead of stopping in the gravel trap, it plowed directly into the rear of the recovery vehicle. The impact was violent, the front of the car disappearing under the massive machine. Marshals and spectators watched in horror as debris scattered across the wet track. The crash caused catastrophic head injuries. Marshals and medical teams rushed to the scene, fighting against the worsening weather to reach the unconscious driver. He was extracted from the wreckage and taken to University Hospital. Unlike most Formula One accidents, where drivers walk away thanks to modern safety innovations, this one left silence hanging over the paddock. Bianke never regained consciousness. For 9 months, he remained in a coma, his family by his side, as fans around the world hoped for a miracle. But on July 17, 2015, in his hometown of Nice, Jules passed away at just 25 years old. He was the first Formula One driver in over 2 decades to die from injuries sustained during a race. The accident forced the sport to confront the dangers of racing in extreme conditions and the risks of heavy vehicles on track during live sessions. Out of the tragedy came new measures, including the virtual safety car and eventually, the Halo cockpit device designed to shield drivers in the most dangerous moments. Jules Bianche's crash at Suzuka remains one of the darkest chapters in Formula One history. The day a rising star's journey was ended not by lack of talent, but by circumstances beyond his control. These are just some of the moments where fate turned everyday events into history's darkest hours. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you won't miss the shocking conclusions in the stories we uncover next.